And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this planet Earth. Good riddance, and thank you so much for pressing play and listening to our podcast of the day. My name is Prophecy the Poet. This is my first time doing this. I hope I'm not too loud. I hope I'm not too obnoxious, but thank you anyway for listening. Today we're gonna do a analytic comparison of the surviving Robert and leaving Michael cases. We're gonna take an unbiased, non-emotional, clear approach to analyzing the two cases. This is not about truth and lies. This is not about defending assault. This is not about discrediting victims. This is simply about using our heads, guys, because we have to remember that these are still corporations, and marketing is how this economy moves. So how we're gonna do this thing today, we are going to have a conversation with my mom, because who else is the realer person to have this kind of conversation with? So we're gonna have a nice, cool mother-daughter conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Everybody is on top of R.Kelly and this, that, and the third, but ain't nobody talking about Harvey Weinstein. People are quieter about Michael Jackson than they were about R. Kelly. So is it because Michael is dead? Is it because you're talking about little white boys and their little legacies that's also at stake when you talk about Michael Jackson? So, that's my thing with it. But it's just a lot of speculation, but no one is really going by what the law says and what has been proven, because the truth is none of these people know the truth. And then you have two, I would say, no, you have Oprah, the most powerful black woman, and then you have her best friend as the faces of both of these, situations, in the midst of both of these situations. So that's by design as well. Leaving Netherland is being produced by HBO. Well, we know HBO and Oprah have a relationship because HBO and Oprah did the Henrietta Lacks story. And the family was, had an issue with that. Felt like they was being cheated out of that. So, as much as we love Oprah, she is still a brand and a corporation. And so people are missing the point that these are corporations that are trying to market, this idea of fear. And then you have something like the Me Too movement, which I'm not bad talking anything. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you have that, which makes things even easier because that's being marketed. Because at the end of the day, it's what's being marketed to you. When you look at Google Trends and you see if anybody was Googling R. Kelly, before this thing dropped, people wasn't even Googling him. Nobody was even thinking about him. Nobody was thinking about the case from 2008. Nobody was thinking about none of that stuff. But now, all of a sudden, with this Me Too movement, now all of a sudden, people are popping out of the woodworks with things and not discrediting what they're saying is not true. But what I'm saying is you have real live children and young girls being taken advantage of. And you have real live people being held against their wills. And they've been that way for years. But because it's not a celebrity, or because it's not, it's just like it don't get talked about. It don't get talked about. People wouldn't be thinking about these folks if it wasn't R. Kelly whose name was attached to it. So, I don't, I am very in a position of unbiased. I would like to see Michael Jackson is dead. I think, they should be ashamed to even bring that back up. If it did happen, well, the white boys have already perjured themselves in on the stand, because Michael has already beat that case 3 years before he passed. So why it's 2019, 10 years after that man died, now y'all feel like it's okay to exhume him, his spirit from the womb, his legacy from, I mean, not from the grave now, and drag him through the mud? People should be ashamed. They shouldn't even mention that. Okay, if once it was talked about, and again, I'm only making these points because I know that it's a thing of what's being marketed right now. I know for a fact that it's because a lot of it has to do with, women, women's rights and feminism and all of these things being at the forefront. And I'm not knocking those movements. But at the same time, people are always going to take advantage and extort such movements for financial gain and for attention at this point, because we're living in an attention economy. So at this point, it's about attention too. Because garnering some attention can possibly garner you some kind of funds, because now people want to interview you. People want to talk to you. People want to hear the story, because 95% of people are consumers. And plus, we're living in the age of consumerism when you add to all of that. So we're living in an age where people just want to get on social media and they just want to scroll and they just want to have a story to read and they just want to have something to talk about and post about.
The two white boys, they lied. That's what they want. They lied. And now what else are they had?
But even if they weren't, they said that their parents was right in the next room. See, what I also don't like is the selective hearing that people, and the selective listening and the selective analyzing people are doing, because they hear one thing, but they don't hear the other. Oh, I hear Michael Jackson was dealing with little boys. I hear R.Kelly was dealing with little girls, but I don't hear the part of their parents brought them into this situation. I don't hear the part of these parents had knowledge. Parents had knowledge of it and brought them into the situation. So my thing is, it's a lot of selective speculation going on, and it's insane, and people need to sit down and really analyze it for themselves and not be such consumers to the point where you just want, people themselves just want some kind of attention. So jumping on the topic of that's something that's attention, that's adding attention to them or to their profiles or whatever, then they all for that. So it's just, it's a mess, and people need to really just sit back and just analyze it. And nobody's place to condemn or judge them. And the media will paint a certain picture, and the media will plug different things in. And it's not a mistake that you got Gail, Oprah's best friend, and Oprah in the middle of this stuff. That is not a mistake thing. That's not it's a coincidence that Gail is doing the R.Kelly interview and Oprah is doing the Neverland situation.
What they're saying about Michael, I don't believe it. They're big five. And the fact that they're doing HBO, because it was one thing, some Michael Page, they weren't going to bring it up no more.
Right.
And anytime they put their reasons, they weren't going to talk about that no more. But you hear you all talk about that.
Right.
No, I ain't going with that. Y'all start throwing that man's legacy because he was very talented. He was a teacher, and y'all trying to take him out. He's in his grave. And that man's been dead for 2 years. I know I can see somewhere down the street. This is how it's going, you know.
And the Jackson family already got $100 million suit filed. So they already have $100 million suit filed against HBO.
Yeah, they got money.
They making money. They making money off of it. So.
The people out there, Americans, they're going to make anything that they get.
Americans are very, and it's only Americans. See, because we're such consumers that Americans, we the people that, oh, it's just, this is horrible, but they don't even know the facts. Whereas in other countries, you got people being done wrong and girls being, you have sex trafficking right in Atlanta, right here by you is people is doing real things and hurting people, and not to say that these people aren't, but it's like people make such a rave about certain topics that it doesn't make any sense. It's not balanced, and people really look crazy out here. At the end of the day, people look crazy because it's like you not even using your brain. Use your brain a little bit to think. Don't just jump on the bandwagon of, oh, me too, or oh, that's wrong, and this shouldn't have been done, and I don't want my daughter. And we get all of those emotions flying out because the media is pushing this stuff at you and marketing to you, so you feel forced now to jump on a side, or else I feel guilty about not saying something or jumping on a side because now the media is pushing it out to you and marketing it to you so much and to a point of saturation that you don't even realize that you haven't stopped to think for yourself. You're only going by what they've told you. You haven't even stopped to dissect and analyze what they told you. Because if you pay close attention to the stuff, it's things, it's holes in it. Well, if Michael did that, y'all already perjured yourselves. Well, if R.Kelly did that, then you have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in court. Okay, the state of Illinois already failed to do that in 2008 with the little 13-year-old or whoever it was supposed to be. They could not prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And I don't know, I have a very indifferent, funny feeling that they may not be able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt this time. And that's how I feel about it,
It's bad.